Game week 38. It's been a very good season. Thank you for all the support on the channel. I really do appreciate it. We're not going anywhere, by the way. The World Cup is going to be huge, but this is our final Premier League game and Premier League video for the 25-26 season. We've got 10 games to dig our teeth into, and we're going to split this video into 3 sections. First up, we are going to do the OddAlerts Annual Awards. We are going to give out the Manager of the Year for the Premier League, Young Player of the Year, and Newcomer of the Year. So stay tuned for that. Let me know if you agree and disagree with my picks. And then after that, we are going to check out which teams have been top and bottom, which teams have been hot or not for certain metrics in the Premier League across the 37 games so far, and then we're going to use all of that data and put together our predictions. So they are the 3 sections that are coming up. Let's get into the first one. It's the OddAlerts Annual Awards for the Premier League. So we'll start with the Manager of the Year. A few candidates, let's be honest. Michael Carrick, since he came into the job, has been fantastic. Mikel Arteta, of course, winning the league is a very big shout. Pep Guardiola, do you give it him as a bit of a sentiment now that he's confirmed to be leaving Manchester City? But the manager that gets it for me is Andoni Iraola, to take Bournemouth into Europe. And which European competition, we're not sure yet, because they've still got 1 game left. So for him to have cemented Europe with a game to play, and to be on an unbeaten run since the start of January as Bournemouth in the Premier League, playing against pretty much every team. The last defeat was to Arsenal. And to not lose after selling your best player as well to Manchester City, I think it is absolutely very, very special. And Iraola, whoever gets him, is going to acquire a very, very special coach indeed. He is my Manager of the Year. So my Young Player of the Year, pretty simple. I think he'll be most people's Young Player of the Year. It is Nico O'Reilly at Manchester City. No player in the Manchester City squad has won more Premier League games this season than Nico O'Reilly. Had a little spell out of the team around March, but apart from that, he has been an ever-present, very reliable footballer. Important that he doesn't play too many games, I think, at his age. We don't want him getting a kind of stress injury. Talking of young players doing very, very well, I'm going to give 2nd and 3rd place in this category as well. So 2nd place goes to Kroupi of Bournemouth. He turned down the chance to play for Portugal at the World Cup because he is waiting to play for France. So this is somebody who backs his ability to get in that French team. And if you watch him play, his finishing this season, as a teenager in the Premier League, he got 13, 14 goals. And some of the quality of his finishes as well have been outstanding. He is my 2nd placed Young Player of the Year. And finally, last but not least, it is Coyote of Brentford, the right back, marauding forward. His long throws have been very important for Brentford as well. I think he is destined to return to a big club. He came from Italy, didn't he? Good signing from Brentford, and he is 3rd in my Young Player of the Year. Now, let's move on to my Player of the Season. So this category, I've seen many people shouting about Declan Rice, and don't get me wrong, Declan Rice has had a good season, but I think he is the kind of obvious choice just because of the number of games that he plays and the position that he plays and the importance of him to the team. Fair, I get it. But I've seen Declan Rice have better seasons, I think, in terms of what I like to see from Declan Rice. I think he's better in that left-sided midfield role, bombing up the pitch, versus just being a protector at centre defensive midfield, which is what he's mostly done this season. So I am going to go with Saliba. It was a toss-up between Saliba and Gabriel. I think defenders rarely get the credit that they deserve, and Arsenal's campaign is based on clean sheets. It is based on them being so solid defensively that they only need 1 goal, which is the case in many of their games. Both Saliba and Gabriel have played 31 games. That's why it was tough to pick between them. Gabriel's obviously a bit more of an aerial threat and does chip in with a few more goals. but Saliba, I think, is the better footballer. And we saw Nemanja Vidic get Player of the Year. I think Van Dijk's got it as well. So it is important, as Alex Ferguson said, attack can win you games, but defence wins you titles. Second in this category, we're going to give a second and third place as well, is Bruno Fernandes. He has been absolutely fantastic since Michael Carrick has come in, a big part of whatever Manchester United do, even when they were playing so poorly. He was quite often the bright spark, and under Michael Carrick he's been given the freedom that he needs to roam around, to be creative, and 20 assists in a season is no joke. So he is second in the rankings. Well done to Bruno Fernandes. And well done to third placed Antoine Semenyo. He was scoring for fun at Bournemouth, gets bought by Manchester City, and continues to be a very important player straight away. He has slotted in so well at Manchester City and has won a couple of trophies, scoring the winning goal in the FA Cup final. Big player for Manchester City going forward, you feel. And he is my third choice, third placed player of the season. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my picks. Who would you have as Player of the Year? And finally, to wrap up the awards section of this video, we are going to go with the best newcomer in the Premier League, the category where the player has to have never played in the Premier League before. This is their first campaign. And with that said, the winner of this award is Kroupi of Bournemouth. I think to come in as a 19-year-old in the Premier League and play the way he has, scoring the goals he has, plays with such confidence and quality. And there is a couple of players here from Bournemouth, because my second place player is the player they replaced Semenyo with, Ryan. Come from Brazil. He was doing very well in Brazil, but the transition, usually the physicality, especially with these young players, it's not always there. You look at someone like Estevao, and Chelsea have got him on a very strict weight gain program if you see pictures of him arriving and now, but Ryan does not need that. He is ready, built for the Premier League, and it shows. What a player he looks like, and I can't wait to see what he does next season. And third placed is from Manchester City, Ryan Cherki, 14 assists in the Premier League, and what a player he looks like. He wasn't even in the team for the first couple of months of the season. He worked his way in typical Pep Guardiola fashion. He's a bit of a maverick, bit of a showboating prince, if you will, on the pitch, can use both feet, and he has settled into the Premier League now. And for a first season, 14 assists. It's not bad, is it? And a special mention to Max Dowman as well. Still just 16 years old, Premier League champion, and showed glimpses of the player he may become. Featured in both semi-finals for Arsenal in the Champions League, and scored his first Premier League goal against Everton this campaign. That is some newcomer season. 16 years old, taking his GCSEs at this moment in time, so good luck to you, Max. Now let's jump to the football form guide and check out who's done what this season in the Premier League. Now we move on to the football form guide, and we're going to be looking at the complete season, so 37 games. And the first metric that we're going to look at, and hopefully as we fly through this you can pick up some insights that you can use on this final day of the season. Hopefully they can guide you. The first one we have highlighted here is total shots per 90. This is shots for and conceded, and Manchester United top the charts, 27.4 shots in their games per 90 minutes. Liverpool a close second with 26.7, as are Bournemouth. For over 2.5 goals, no team has seen more than Chelsea. 24 of 37 games have gone the same way, and actually they are tied top with Newcastle and Tottenham. Tottenham. What a game. What a big game it is. We're going to cover it, don't worry. They are hosting Everton, and it could be their last game in the Premier League for at least a year. Losing at half-time, this is a very nice metric if you are Manchester City. They have been losing at half-time in just 3 games this season. Contrast that to the bottom of the list, where we see Burnley with 20, down at half-time in 20 out of 37 games. Wolves 18, Tottenham 17, Nottingham Forest 16, Brighton 14 games they have been behind at the break. Looking at XG against per 90, no surprise to see Burnley at the top of the list. 2.15 expected goals against per 90 minutes in the Premier League. West Ham, 1.74. Second bottom of this list. Do they deserve to go down based on that metric? Wolverhampton Wanderers, third. And Sunderland, who are very fortunate, if you believe XG and the justice tables and expected points, very fortunate to be where they are in the Premier League. Will there be a correction next season? They've obviously got the luxury of being able to take a break and reassess and make some signings. AFC Bournemouth, 1.52. So will Nottingham Forest score against Bournemouth in what is Iraola's final game? Fifth bottom in terms of XG against per game. Even last year, Bournemouth, they do allow quite a few shots on their goal. In terms of yellow cards, no team has received more than Tottenham. 98 yellow cards this season. Massive game against Everton. Can they hit 100? And in terms of the opponents being booked, Newcastle top the charts. Their opponents have been booked 89 times across the 37 games. Same goes for Aston Villa, who are away at Manchester City. Aston Villa crowned Europa League champions in midweek. I don't think they will have been training too hard for this game, whereas Manchester City are saying goodbye to Pep Guardiola. It's going to be an emotional day at the Etihad. Now let's take a look at goals. We saw that Manchester United games have more shots than most, and it's true for goals as well. 116 total goals in Manchester United's games this season. There has been value for money watching Manchester United this season. 116 goals in 37 games, closely followed by Liverpool, who have an interesting game against Brentford, the Jordan Henderson derby. So goals follow Manchester United. Let's look at BTTS because I already know they are top of the charts for this one as well. 27 out of 37 games, Manchester United players were out on Friday night. That is potentially worth knowing. They have secured the Champions League spot. Michael Carrick's got a new contract. And it looks like they've let their hair down on Friday night. These games are on Sunday, and they're away at Brighton. Brighton with much to play for. How does that shape your view on this fixture? And as far as second half goals are concerned, 33 out of 37 games for Liverpool have seen a second half goal. But let me show you a very worrying metric and a very telling metric for Arne Slot's team. So 33 out of 37 games for Liverpool saw a second half goal being scored or conceded. Now we can look at the goals against, and they have conceded a second half goal in 25 out of 37 games. Now, look at the teams that they are around in this table. West Ham, 26. So they're only one game off the peak. I think it's really, really poor from Liverpool, who were champions, and all you have to do is scroll to the bottom to get a comparison here. Manchester City, 13 games they have conceded in the second half. 13 out of 37. Arsenal, 14 out of 37. This, for me, is one of the major visible differences in the data between Liverpool and the two teams that were chasing the title. So that was the football form guide. You can check it out for all leagues in the world. Now let's take a look at the fixtures and make some predictions. So let's go through the games then being played on Sunday. We're going to give some early predictions, some thoughts, preview for the game, and then we'll use some of the stats that we've digested from this video and across the season and just my general bias and knowledge as well, and put together some final fun day predictions for these games. We start with Manchester City. It is Pep Guardiola's final game in charge. Wow, emotions are going to be running high there. They have named the North Stand after him, and it is opening for the first time on Sunday. The Pep Guardiola Stand. That is going to be emotional to say the least. Very little to play for both of these teams. Villa already have secured Champions League football, given that they won the Europa League. As I said before, I doubt they've been training too hard. The season is done and dusted for them. They had their parade. Unai Emery was on great form on top of the bus, and we could see a game here with plenty of goals and plenty of fun. But at the same time, for all these games, you've got to be careful of the World Cup players. They're not going to want to get injured in this, especially when there's nothing on the line. So there could be mistakes, there could be goals, there could be players not going in for that tackle, if you know what I mean. Next up, Brighton hosting Manchester United. Over 2.5 goals is what I'm thinking for this one straight away. Two teams ending brilliant seasons, really. Can Bruno Fernandes get the assist record? He is under evens to score or assist in this game, 1.9. Just 2 defeats at home in 2026 for Brighton in the Premier League. As we saw, Manchester United are top for BTTS as well, 27 out of 37 games. Sunderland, Chelsea, 10th against 8th. Who would have thought that at the start of the season? I can see Chelsea scoring in this game. They've averaged 1.72 goals per away game this season. Sunderland has a chance of European football on the final day. They do need to win. They're on 51 points at this moment in time. Teams above them will need to lose, and Sunderland will need to get a win. Their goal difference is not great as well compared to the teams above them, so that sets up the game nicely though, doesn't it? They need to win. Chelsea need to win as well. They are in direct competition with Sunderland, so that one is a game worth monitoring. There is something on the line there. Liverpool against Brentford. It is the final day at Anfield for Mohamed Salah. What a player he has been for Liverpool. It's going to be an emotional day there, just like it will be at the Etihad. And I've got a feeling it could be the last game for Arne Slot as well. And Brentford, for all of the credit that we give them, Brentford have won just once since the end of February. The last couple of wins came against Burnley and West Ham. And Liverpool can't stop conceding at this moment in time. No clean sheet in the last 5 games, with BTTS landing in every single one of those games. Burnley against Wolves. Who cares? This game could have meant so much more if both teams actually decided to turn up this season. It could have been a relegation playoff game, but as it happens, I'm just not even going to talk about it. Who cares what happens there? Both teams have been pathetic this season. I apologise to Burnley fans and Wolves fans. Enjoy the championship. Crystal Palace against Arsenal, 2 teams preparing for European finals. Arsenal preparing to lift the trophy. Eze returning to Selhurst Park. This is the definition of a dead rubber. I'm not sure what that means for the game. There's going to be rotation on both parts. We might see Max Dowman playing a little bit of football here. He's been doing his GCSEs though, so I hope he's well rested. But for Crystal Palace, for sure, they're not going to risk getting any injuries ahead of that big final. They'll have to play some of their players that will play in the final because they don't have a squad that big. But Arsenal, it's interesting to know, went from 1.4 to 1.89 to win this game. So if you think that between the rotated squads, Arsenal still has the upper hand, then the odds have increased quite generously for Arsenal to win this game. And nobody wants to end the season as champions losing a game. Fulham against Newcastle, Marco Silva's final game, if you believe reports that he has agreed to join Benfica. 2 teams that probably just want the season to end. Fulham have tailed off, as they seem to do under Marco Silva more often than not. Newcastle have got a big chance next season without European football to really push for the top end of the table. Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth, Iraola's final game. And it's been a good end of season, hasn't it, for both of these teams especially, but Nottingham Forest pulling away from the relegation zone, no real danger, thanks in large parts to Morgan Gibbs-White, who is not going to the World Cup. Maybe he will score or assist to show Thomas Tuchel just what he is missing. I do get Thomas Tuchel's logic, to be honest. There's too many players that can play in that same position, and it would only create issues with them sitting on the bench and not being happy to sit on the bench. Tottenham against Everton and West Ham against Leeds doesn't need an introduction. There is only one scenario where Tottenham get relegated, and that is an Everton win and a West Ham win. Can it happen? So here is the first selection for the final day of the Premier League. Liverpool to score in the second half. A lot of second half goals in their games, as we saw. Manchester United, Brighton, both teams to score 1.5. That is actually higher than over 2.5 goals. So obviously you need 1 goal fewer, but you need Manchester United to score. I think Brighton will score, given that Manchester United, as I record this on Saturday, will have a few of their players with headaches. They were out last night. We're going to look at another selection in a moment, which includes Bruno Fernandes, but BTTS for this one, I am quite liking it. Brighton, plenty on the line for Brighton. And Manchester City, Aston Villa, over 1 second half goals. I think as this game gets towards the end, it will become more like an exhibition match. Because of the state, because of what Aston Villa have done, it will become a celebration. And I think we will see goals in that second half. I really do. 3.06. Let me know what you think about my logic and anything else in the comments. And now we have a player selection here. Morgan Gibbs-White, score or assist 2.25 at home to Bournemouth. He's been on fire. How will he react to being left out of the England squad? Bruno Fernandes to score or assist. I think if they get a penalty, he's probably going to try one of those sneaky little pass penalties that Omri and Pires tried to get the assist. 1.9. So lower odds than Morgan Gibbs-White. And Phil Foden to have a shot on target. I think Pep Guardiola is quite sentimental. I think Phil Foden will be hurting that he's not in that England squad, and Guardiola may feel a little bit guilty. And on his final game, Pep Guardiola has really brought Foden through the ranks and developed him into a very good player, but now has also shunted him a little bit by putting him on the bench and not playing him enough to get him in the England squad. So I think he'll start, and I think it'll be an open game, as I said before. So Foden to have a shot on target at 1.61. And of course, I don't have the luxury of lineups, so check this out on Sunday as we get a bit closer to kickoff. But I imagine all of these players will start. And that is 6.93. Let me know what you think about this one. What player are you backing to score on the final day of the season? Now on to another double, which does include that Tottenham game, that huge Tottenham game. I'm going to go with them to get the most cards. They have more cards than anyone else in the Premier League, as we saw. And this is a huge game where if someone's running through on goal and it's 0-0, even after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, you're gonna commit the foul, because you do not want Everton to score in this game and take the lead. Absolutely out of the question. So Tottenham to get the most cards, and you can see that the bookies agree just at 1.95, and then over 2.5 goals in the Bournemouth game. Iraola's final game, Nottingham Forest, safe, playing with a bit of freedom at this moment in time. Gibbs-White on fire, other players playing very well as well. 3.06 for a double. I am really liking that one. My final selection, and I do suggest shopping around here because I've seen Arsenal as high as 1.89. I do think if Crystal Palace rotate, they've not been in great form in the Premier League this season, I would say, really. They've not really pushed on. They've had good spells, but they've not really been consistent, and they've obviously put a lot of effort into Europe, which is why they are in a final. But Arsenal's B team against Crystal Palace's B team, I'm going to favour Arsenal's B team. Liverpool, Mo Salah, final day at Anfield, emotional. They'll get the job done against a Brentford team that has not been in special form, really. Also, going to be nice to see Jordan Henderson back at Anfield, I think. And BTTS in Sunderland against Chelsea takes this to 5.1. So you can get better odds if you shop around, because, as I say, Arsenal are as high as 1.89 in other places. So plenty to go at there on the final day of the season. Let me know what you're on in the comments. I look forward to reading your predictions, as always. So that is it. Game week 38 done and dusted for the predictions show. I leave you here with the Premier League table. How much will it change after 90 minutes on Sunday? I want to say thank you for all of your support on YouTube this year. Just on the Premier League, we do a lot of Premier League videos. I hope you enjoy them. Please leave feedback in the comments. I really do read every single comment on my phone whilst I'm watching the football, and I try and improve the YouTube channel with every single video, and that will continue in the World Cup. And we've also got the Champions League. I will be doing a video about that, don't you worry. So I will see you in the next one.